It is grand finals time here for Gym Challenge number 8. I'm Dennis Geisler. With me is Robert Matthews. We have Grant Weldon and Giovanni Costa here in the finals. Grant, once again with the Tornadus Incarnate, Regidrago, Rillaboom, Urshifu Single Strike, Heatran, and Farigiraf. Giovanni with Fluttermane, Farigiraf, Iron Hands, Golden Go, Ogerpon, Wellspring, and Urshifu Single Strike. Both these players with Urshifu Single Strike, both with Farigirafs, but Grant's team a little bit more offensive, has the Tailwind support from the Tornadus. Gio's team has a little bit more defense to it, the Iron Hands and the Ogerpon Wellspring. Probably won't do much. Ogerpon Wellspring is a nice matchup into the Rapid Strike Urshifu. Not too great into a lot of the other Pokemon here. And we don't have a Rapid Strike Urshifu here. What do you think about this matchup? We've seen both of these players. We saw Gio in quarterfinals. We saw Grant in semis. What are you feeling when we get into this?
It'll come down to like so Gio's going to have a bit of a difficulty. Is going to have like a difficulty like speed control wise with the Imprison on Farigiraf and the Icy Wind on Flutter being a little bit slower than Tailwind. So you might have to sort of lead into. I might have to sort of like just like lean into the bulk a little more.
With the Fluttermane coming out first, this is the booster speed Fluttermane that we've seen previously. It's Rillaboom Heatran versus Fluttermane Ogerpon. Ogerpon threatening a pretty big Ivy Cudgel against the Heatran potentially. See the Fluttermane protect out. Make sure it doesn't get hit by whatever Rillaboom wants to do.
Will protect.
Just be an early double protect. Get that early read, figure out what they want to do.
And Heatran also protecting.
Let's see, what does Rillaboom want to do? Woodhammer the Ogerpon. Okay. In any case, it does actually do a little bit back with the spiky shield, but that'll be mostly healed off. There is a grand total of, what, 13 HP dealt in that first turn. Does stall out one turn of grassy terrain. That could be meaningful down the line. Do you see some options here for Grant? Giovanni? To see what the decision is with this Fluttermane. Protected before, definitely wanted to make sure it didn't get hit by the Grassy Glide, but now could be hit by that. Heatran will swap out. It will be the Regidrago coming in. As we mentioned before, doesn't do anything to that Fluttermane.
Fluttermane going for Blue Blast into the Regidrago switch-in.
Excellent read there by Gio. Absolutely on point into these finals here.
Ivy Cudgel getting into Rillaboom. Woodhammer from Rillaboom knocking out Flutter.
Yeah, Fluttermane gets bonked down by the hammer, but definitely did its job. Got the Regidrago out of the way. That's absolutely going to be big value for Gio down the line. See how the rest of these teams match up against each other. Ogerpon, Wellspring, feeling pretty good at this point. Now, Farigiraf will come out for Gio. Has the opportunity to Trick Room. At this point, we have not seen all of Grant's Pokemon. Is one still hiding in the back that we haven't seen yet? Oh, Gio, has some options here. Could Ivy Cudgel still Ivy Cudgel into that Heatran? What a great read on the Moonblast, though, into the Regidrago. Still thinking about that. Absolutely fantastic play there. Gio is only 3-2 heading into this. Had to bubble into Top Cut, but has been doing great in Top Cut, as he always does.
The Heatran tearing into Fairy on Grant's side.
Terra Fairy now will take a little less damage against some of these attacks.
Farigiraf going for the Protect. And Ogerpon wood hammering Rillaboom.
Not going to finish it off, although if Rillaboom goes for a wood hammer, it's definitely going to drop on its own side.
Heat Wave from the Heatran into Projectile and the Ogerpon.
That's most of the HP, and it looks like we're probably going to get a double knockout here with the wood hammer knocking out the Ogerpon, and the Rillaboom, 23 HP, does take it.
The Heat Wave actually, like, the Heat Wave actually doing enough damage to save Rillaboom from its recoil there.
Yeah, exactly. That was big, and that does mean now that Geo is a little bit on the back foot, is missing 2 Pokemon here. Rillaboom's on very low HP, but if it gets one more wood hammer out, it's still going to be very valuable. And meanwhile, this Heatran has to be afraid of the Heavy Slam, actually, from Iron Hands.
Well, like, maybe, like, this is Life Orb, so maybe this is a little bit of a less bulky Heatran, but but I feel like Heatran should be pretty heavy.
It feels like Heatran should be pretty heavy, but even still, it'll be weak to the Heavy Slam. Regirock will come in to prevent the Fake Out from coming through. Geo will now use the Terra. Bergerac. It's Terra Fire here. Definitely going to help against the remaining Pokemon here.
And Iron Hands attempts a Fake Out.
Nice play there by Grant. And the read on the Terra from Farigiraf. Got the Earth Power down. And now Grant way ahead in this one. Grant should be able to win this one. 2 great reads there. Pulling in the Farigiraf to prevent the Fake Out and targeting that Terrastal. Terra could have gone onto either of those Pokemon, but figured that it would be the Farigiraf, and Geo will cancel game number 1. Grant up 1-0 quick in this final series. And even though Geo made that great call on the Regidrago, the rest of it ended up being just kind of a flat 3-on-3, and Grant's Pokemon won that 3-on-3. The Rillaboom did good damage against the Ogerpon Wellspring. We've seen the Ogerpon fall off in these past few weeks, and I kind of see where it comes from on a couple of levels when you see a battle like that, where it's not put into a terrible situation by any means, it just doesn't really get a whole lot done.
What's it? Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily, like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's, like, it's too much worse than it was before. It's just being prepared for a lot more.
It's fallen off in popularity and success, I suppose, especially at some of these top levels. But regardless, we are going to see game number 2. Geo quickly locked in his team. Grant still probably gonna think about it a little bit. I did not see the Urshifu or the Tornadus last battle from Grant. And for Geo, it was the Urshifu and Golden Go that we didn't see. We mentioned before the potential methods of speed control for each of these. The Tailwind for Grant and the Icy Wind and Trick Room for Geo. Haven't seen any of that really come into play. Same lead as before from Geo, different order, but same lead, and the same lead from Grant. Both players thinking they had the options, just didn't have the right reads in game number 1, or Geo thinking he didn't have the right reads in game number 1, and Grant thinking that he can still play out this matchup. Rillaboom does have the option to get an early Fake Out off. Once again, we're going to see the early Protect. We will see the double Protect to lead out again for Geo. It's the same lead as the previous game. Likely see it end the same way, with Rillaboom taking just a sliver of damage from the Spiky Shield, and Heatran... Well, actually, Heatran didn't Protect, so we will get to see it do something else. It was going to Flash Cannon into the Flutter Mane. But otherwise, nothing too different from game number 1. Definitely the same results. Now this is when it starts to get dicey for each of these players. This was the turn last time that Geo predicted the Regidrago switch in. This time, Grant is going to go for that Terra Fairy Heatran. We'll allow it to bulk out a lot of what's here, especially right in front here.
Moonblast from the Spider-Man going into Rillaboom, getting a crit.
Big
With
crit
a hammer. And from Ogerpon is going to take the knockout.
That's a big critical hit there for Geo, and that could be pretty meaningful. We'll see what the Heatran is able to get done here. Big Heat Wave, going to do some serious damage, burns the Flutter Mane. That just means it'll leak a little bit of damage, but not too important. Burns the Ogerpon as well. The double burn on the Heat Wave. Okay. The Grand Finals Heat Wave double burn. That's a fun one. In any case, Heatran feels a little bit better now matching up in that Ogerpon. Ogerpon will still have the chance of getting the critical hit on the Ivy Cudgel, but even still, has to feel a little bit worse about the situation. And if you are Grant, you have to make sure you get this Flutter Mane out of the way. You are down a Pokemon already. You did lose that Rillaboom. It was a good turn last time by Geo. It's a good read on hitting the Moonblast into the Rillaboom. The crit was really big for Geo. But now, you don't want to lose both of your Pokemon for basically nothing here, but that might be what has to happen. You could also switch out Flutter Mane to try to maintain it, but it's going to be dicey to try that. It's Terrastal here.
Terra is going
Terra fairly low health.
On Fairy and the Flutter.
Terra Fairy on the Flutter Mane. It will be the fastest thing on the field, so it will get a hit off regardless. The only thing you can really do here, I think, is Moonblast into for a Giraffe.
Into for a Giraffe.
Good damage, but not a knockout.
A Wood Hammer.
Ooh, the burned Wood Hammer still gets it done for the Ogerpon, for Geo's Ogerpon. Giraffe is down. Big Heat Wave opportunity here, though. The Ogerpon will drop, so a Heat Wave will definitely knock out this Flutter Mane if it hits. And it doesn't. And it doesn't hit. Oh, a brutal turn for Grant there. Because now the last Pokemon there is the Regidrago. Geo will send out the Urshifu. Single strike Urshifu. It's got the Focus Sash. It is not Scarf. And there is the Regidrago. This will be a tough play for Grant to try to turn around. I think, it's really tough because you have to try to preserve your Regidrago as much as possible. To detect from the Urshifu, this would be an opportunity.
And Icy Wind on the Flutter.
We'll get that speed control, as we mentioned. That's a lot of damage to Regidrago. Oh, and it got the critical hit. That is why that damage was so high. Over half of the HP there on that. Draco Meteor into the Detect. As Heatran still has a lot of strength in it. See if it can knock out the Flutter Mane finally. And it doesn't. It's barely not enough damage. Oh, it's a brutal.
Grassy Terrain is going to go before Burn and keep this Flutter on the field for another turn.
That's a couple of brutal breaks for Grant back to back. Now I wonder what you do if you are Grant. You're a little slower because of the Icy Wind. Heatran's going to protect. Gotta get itself out of this turn. Flutter Mane's Moonblast targeting the Heatran, so able to play around that well.
Shifu with the Wicked Blow going into Regidrago to take that knockout.
It will take that knockout, and in this case, it's going to be difficult to turn this around for the Heatran here for Grant. It's gonna have to pick up three knockouts by itself. Grassy Terrain disappears, so Flutter Mane is probably going to be gone next turn. This is a slow Heatran. This Terra Fairy, which means it resists everything the Single Strike Urshifu can do. Go for another Protect. That's an interesting decision. I guess it wants to wait out the Flutter Mane. Won't take any damage from the Flutter Mane. It will get hit by the Urshifu Single Strike. see what it decides to do and how much damage it does.
Combat?
Combat. Not great damage, and it will lower its defense and special defense. It is Focus Sash, so that doesn't matter too much. It'll take 2 hits regardless, probably. And the burn finally finishes off the Flutter Mane. What will be the final Pokemon for Geo? Definitely an advantage state for Geo here, but not a perfect scenario. It is the Golden Go. That'll take a lot of damage against Heat Wave here.
Actually, like the Goldango should actually be faster because of the Icy Wind.
It should be faster, and it should pick up the knockout with a Make It Rain here. Hold, and indeed it does. Indeed it gets the Make It Rain, and we'll go to game number 3 in the finals. Geo, some tough breaks for Grant there, but Geo got it done, and we will head to game number 3. It's a very different game number 2 than game number 1, even apart from the result. There were a lot of different plays much earlier on. That Heatran going for the early Terra instead of the early switch out was a big difference, and I can't say it went great for Grant. It's interesting because the early turns probably went more for Grant in game number 2 than game number 1, but Grant won game number 1 and not game number 2. In any case, both these players in their decisions on what to do in game number 3 here. We saw the same leads in both of the first 2 games. From each side, it was Ogerpon and Flutter Mane from Geo. He is already locked in. And from Grant, it's Rillaboom it was Rillaboom and Heatran. Whether it'll be the same here is the question. Grant seems to really be considering it. Grant went with the same 4 Pokemon again in that last battle. Geo swapped out, I believe, don't remember what exactly it was, but swapped out one of the Pokemon for Golden Go to get that in instead. And it didn't do a whole lot, but it guaranteed the win at the end of the battle, which is definitely a little bit of value. Grant. They'll appear to lock in a similar setup as before. Grant and Giovanni, game number 3 of the finals. Winner wins the gym challenge here. For all the marbles here this week. Geo, different lead this time. It's going to be Urshifu alongside the Flutter Mane. Urshifu single strike with that Focus Sash. And on the other end, it's Rillaboom and Heatran once again for Grant. Urshifu, as we mentioned before, doesn't do a whole lot into the Terra Fairy Heatran. On the other side of things, Flutter Mane doesn't do a lot against normal Heatran, so it could be a difficult decision to make for Grant as to what to do with that Heatran early on. Urshifu does have Focus Sash, so it will be able to take 2 hits. It will have to take 2 hits regardless. And just unloads damage if it has the opportunity, of course. As we know is famous of Urshifu. It's Flutter Mane as well. These are 2 very offensive Pokemon, very difficult to answer. These are 2 of the better answers for Flutter Mane at the very least, but it'll still be difficult to answer it. Grant's time clicks down. Geo switches out the Flutter Mane, so we'll lose that booster energy for the rest of the battle.
Rigarath.
We'll stop the Fake Out and the Grassy Glide if that's a decision from Grant. Also see the Terrastal here from Grant. I believe it's going to be the Terra Fairy Heatran once again. Nice choice there, as the Flutter Mane Shadow Ball was not going to hit it, and that was the most threatening move on the field towards it. Now it'll take very little damage against anything Urshifu can do.
Combat from Urshifu goes to the Heatran, not doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, just about a third of the HP bar there. Heat Wave will do lots of damage in return. Finally gets one of those Heat Waves off onto the Urshifu. Pause for burn. Does burn the Farigiraf. It does not burn the Urshifu. The Urshifu will stay up until now, until it gets dropped by the Wood Hammer. A great first turn from Grant, dropping Urshifu. now Farigiraf is going to kind of be standing there on its own. It's a little bit in no man's land. It's also burned now, so it doesn't get that grassy terrain healing. A lot of big burns from Grant that we've seen. The grassy terrain is a quietly good passive source of healing for a lot of Pokemon. In this case, not seeing a whole lot of value here. We do get the Golden Go switching in here. Make It Rain, we're not 100% sure how much the Make It Rain will do in this case to the Golden Go, or to the Heatran, Terra Fairy Heatran. Should probably knock it out. Finally see the Terra here from Geo. It's the Golden Go. Steel type. Pure Steel now. We'll boost up the Make It Rain even further. Heatran protects out of it. It'll just be a single hit onto the Rillaboom. Farigiraf will also protect, so it'll just be the Rillaboom and the Golden Go acting this turn.
The Goldango outspeeds Rillaboom. It gets to Make It Rain off.
We'll see how much this does. Lots of damage there. Really good damage onto the Rillaboom, actually. Drop the special attack by one stage. The high horsepower does not knock out. Does pretty solid damage as well. And now we step back to the second question. Does the -1 but Terra'd Make It Rain finish off the Heatran at slightly higher HP? I think it's still going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, like that. I would imagine that it would still knock out. The bigger question here is it's actually going to be this speed interaction. This Heatran is a life orb, so it might be like trained to be a little faster.
Could be. It will be close here. It will actually be pretty close here. Not 100% sure what the interaction will be. And Heatran's just going to switch out, so the Heatran will get preserved a little bit longer. We'll let this Farigiraf be, I won't call it a sacrifice, but it'll take a pretty big Make It Rain here. Get taken down to under half HP. Rillaboom will get easily knocked out. Golden Go down to -2 special attack stages.
Farigiraf going for Hyper Voice, which is going to be enough to take Farigiraf out.
Double knockout there for Grant, but might have been necessary to try to play around this Goldengo. Barely regenning a little bit of HP each turn, but it will probably get knocked out by the next Heatran Heat Wave. Heatran does have... it'll be close. This will be a really close one. Has to be the Heatran and the Regidrago coming in for Grant regardless. Here we see them. Heatran coming back in, and Regidrago on the other end. Now, -2 Goldengo. Still going to be outputting ridiculous damage on these Pokemon. And meanwhile, the Regidrago, you have to keep in mind, the Farigiraf is also Life Orb. It'll do some serious damage. Or no, it is not Life Orb, it's Rocky Helmet. But it will still... Oh no, it is Life Orb. I got the two Farigirafs mixed up for a minute. Geo's is Life Orb, so it will do a bit more damage than you would necessarily always expect out of the Farigiraf. So it will also be a threat onto this Heatran to a certain degree. What will the decisions be from each of them? Goldengo will switch out. Try to reset that special attack stat. It'll be Flutter Mane coming in.
And then can protect.
And protects to get another turn of grassy terrain recovery. Farigiraf will also protect, so this is a free hit for Regidrago, and it is the Earth Power into the Flutter Mane. Doesn't do too much damage. Does get a little bit of damage down. It's better than no damage, particularly against this Flutter Mane, which will take a decent amount of damage from a Heat Wave from Heatran. Now the question, how much can this Heatran take is the big question, because this Heatran has to be the one outputting some of this damage. It is necessarily, I think, the win condition for Grant. Regidrago is definitely a good part of the win condition, and a Draco Meteor could end it. But gotta get rid of this Flutter Mane first. Flutter Mane will just protect.
Reggie Drago, faster than Heatran, going to go for the Earth Power to protect, and Heat Wave from the Heatran is going to miss Farigiraf.
Missing the Farigiraf, that is brutal. Will do a lot of damage with the Heat Wave, or the Hyper Voice, excuse me, and now, oh, this is going to be difficult for Grant to pull back. That Heat Wave miss was brutal. There's been a lot of rough moments for each of these players through this set, and now this could be the final turn we see of this tournament. Farigiraf will have to stay up through this turn, which might be difficult. Fluttermane is threatening a lot of damage and is the fastest thing on the field. I think whichever Pokemon this Fluttermane targets, and it'll just target both, but it should do a lot of damage. It doesn't pick up a knockout on either. Still a tiny bit of an opening, even though everything is much slower and very low HP. Dragon Energy finish off the Farigiraf? It does. It does finish off the Farigiraf. So we will see that drop, but we're getting to the point. We will see the Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon should knock out the Fluttermane, but now the Goldengo will come back in, and I don't know.
After the after the Icy Wind, it
should comfortably outspeed, and
yeah, it should be outspeeding both of those, both of the Heatran and Reggie Drago. The big question was the speed interaction, and it does look like it's been answered here by that Fluttermane Icy Wind.
The Make It Rain comes out. We await the answer, and Gio gets the knockouts. Giovanni Costa will win the Gym Challenge number 8. A great victory there. Playing very well around the Fluttermane and the Goldengo to pick up that victory. Very tough fought, very well played by Grant as well. A very fun final matchup there. But anyways, that was really good. Any last thoughts?
With some great matches on the stream today.
Yes, indeed. We'll be back here next Saturday. I look off screen. Saturday. Be sure to come here. Be sure to watch the stream if you can't come here. It'll be awesome. And in any case, yeah, it's a great tournament today. We'll see you next week.